Hello, hello, and welcome to Saturday Soundbites. I am so excited to be here with you today because we're going to talk about what happens when you have a brand and what happens when you don't have a brand. And let me just point out some very clear things that are going to come up for you today. And that is whether or not you go into a project, whether it's a passion project or some sort of business project, even if you don't have a strategy, a brand is going to develop. And that's why I'm super excited about today's guest because that's exactly what someone was out to do, is to have a passion project, to share the word, to spread the message of some really important things that were happening in her life. And then all of a sudden there's a micro community of people who are really interested in what she's talking about. And it's time now to start thinking about what's next in the branding. And so that's why I'm really excited about today's guest. So let me go ahead and take care of some housekeeping. If you are listening on the podcast, make sure you hit subscribe. We don't want you to miss any episodes of Saturday Soundbites. And if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, drop us some comments and my guest and I will circle back and connect with you. So with that, we're going to go ahead and bring on our amazing guest. Christina Greenfield is joining us. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Well, Christina, share with everybody a little bit about your passion project first, because I think the thing that I was most interested in is figuring out how you turn a passion project of just sharing information into literally this whole thing. Like it's got a life of its own now.
Yeah, it does kind of have a life of its own now. Well, I mean, I guess transparently, I had no plan. I was just excited. We were we had started a project of building a house, and I had followed some other people on Instagram who, started from the time when they broke ground and let people follow them through building the house. And I thought, okay, that's so exciting. And they had so many followers, but I had this message that I wanted people to hear. And it was about what got us to that point, which was unfortunately mold. So we had experienced mold in our prior house. And so that took us out of that home and then, put us on this path to try to build a safe environment for my family. And then I started thinking, the people that I want to hear this message are the people that were like us, who had absolutely no idea that mold could be a problem, in their home and in their environment. And how do I reach out? How do I reach those people? Because if you start a niche about mold, you're going to reach people who already know about mold, already concerned about mold, right? So the hook was kind of building a home, because everybody's excited about building a home and that whole process and everything. And unfortunately, that's taken a turn where that project is on hold. But that was my first plan. That was my original plan. I was kind of wanted to hook in a really broad audience with something that everybody enjoys. Who doesn't like to watch a home being built? And then, weave in the message of why we are where we were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you have what I love about your message and your videos and your reels is that they're very research based. And so not only do you have a passion project and you have a desire to help people get information about mold and environmental health, you implement a lot of research. And I attribute that to your background. So share a little bit with our listeners and viewers about your background.
Yeah. So my 9-to-5 job, I'm a lawyer. My practice area is evolving. So I practiced in compliance, international anti-corruption compliance for about 8 years. And now I've transitioned into commercial work and now corporate secretary. So I'm working on board materials and things like that. So I have a wide range of experience over the past 10-ish, 11, going on 11 years now, maybe 12. I don't know, time flies. It's been a while. But yes, I think my background does attribute to or does contribute to the fact that I don't want to just know what's popular. I don't want to just know what the latest tagline is. I want to really know, from a variety of sources. I want to figure out my own opinion about building materials and building specifications and the do's and don'ts and things to watch for. And I want to, and I don't have the answers because I do not have a background in construction science and it's very much science based, but I want to make other people curious because I think that people have let go of their power a little bit when it comes to homes and home ownership. And, the main goal generally is finances. They were like, okay, I want to get the finances so I can buy a home, but do you have the finances to support maintaining the home? Do you have the ability and the time to go and research and look under sinks and make sure nothing's leaking and, action items that are unfortunate that come up whenever you own a home? It's all your responsibility. So I want to make people really, really curious and a lot of the times when we talk about our story, Chris and I, my husband, you see my dogs in the background. They're I consider them my therapy dogs. But whenever we talk about the beginning part of our story, there's so many parts where we just said, well, we didn't know mold was a problem. We didn't know our children could be getting sick. We didn't know that the air conditioning is a huge problem in Texas in a hot, humid environment. We didn't know what could be going on behind the wall. It's just a constant reoccurring theme we didn't know. And I want people to know. I want them at least to be aware. If they can get past awareness, I want them to be curious. If they can get past curiosity, I want them to delve into the research and to take some of that power back, because honestly, we live in the age of information, that all the information is out there and it's for anybody to get, and I just want to encourage people to get curious. And I think that does come from my background, because everybody, even law, we always joke, we're like, this is not brain surgery, We're reading words and we're writing words and we're kind of like we're giving advice. It is not brain surgery. And I think everybody has access to that level of information as well. There's background and experience, of course, that, layers in some value, but with building materials, I think building materials and building science, I think it's important that you do get the subject matter experts in there and on your team, but you also want to have a knowledge base where you can question what you're being told and what you're seeing.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And so you have this passion, you have a background in research, you want families to have tools and information and access. And then all of a sudden, my question is, how did you be like, I think I'm going to start making reels. I think I'm going to start a channel. There's got to be some trigger that drove you to start pushing it out on social media, because I think that's the difference. We all want to help people, generally speaking. If we've experienced some sort of trauma or something unique in our lives, often we want to share that with other people. And some people might write an article or a blog or something, but you took it to the next level. And that's what I think is just fascinating. And I just applaud you, because it's created this fantastic brand now that exists. It didn't exist a few months ago. So what was the trigger? Like, what was the thing that's, I think I know what to do with this?
Yeah. Well, I didn't really, I think the trigger is probably, it could be a personality deficit, but it's like when I get interested in something, I'm very, very interested in it. I jump all in, whether it's my plants or my gardens or my dogs or, whatever it is, I just jump into it. And I think this was just the natural evolution of a new interest for me. And, I pulled a lot from the people that I was following. So what interests me, what caught my eye when I was watching these people who are building their homes, and, they did a lot of reels, and there was a lot of just information that was coming to you in bite-sized amounts. So when you're scrolling, you're like, oh, okay, I learned something new, and so really just kind of evolved by watching what other people did and do. And then thinking, I tend to be long-winded, as I'm showing here a little bit, but the long-windedness doesn't really translate well to, Instagram. And so I thought, okay, well, I have in the beginning, I wanted to set the stage and tell my whole story. So how can I do that? So I just created a YouTube channel, and I only have the one clip up there, when I told my first story, but that was the avenue to do that. And then I thought, well, I do enjoy writing. And so I want to write, and a lot of the resources that I want to give to people would be better suited in a blog format. And so Chris was working on that, and quite frankly, we just life gets busy, and so it's not quite published, but I have a lot of material ready to go as soon as he gets that live. So I think it just evolved from my own interests, what caught my own eye, and then whatever I was able to fill out or figure out, because I had to Google like how to use Instagram properly.
Right.
I was like, I don't know. I share pictures of my family on my personal thing, and I like things and I follow things, but I have no idea. Like I had no idea how to create a reel or any of that stuff. So I had to Google it. But again, the information is out there. So
that's right.
I figured it out.
Yeah. That's fantastic. I think more people need to just Google it and figure it out because there's tons of resources, and you don't have to be a master. You don't have to have the exact mic or lighting or setup. You just have to have a message, and that's what you did, which is why I love it. You were like, "Yeah, I have information. I'm going for it. Here are my reels. Hopefully, they work. And we'll see what happens."
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And when I research reels, that's the way you get to a broader audience, because it's uncapped. And so whatever you share on your page, people who want to hear your message are already there. So if you're trying to reach out to people who haven't heard your message yet, and you want them to get hooked, the reel is a great way to do it because it just it's something about the algorithm, something. I don't know how it works, but it goes out to just anybody and everybody, So every single time I post a reel, I get new people, and inevitably the numbers drop off too, because sometimes they're like, okay, that was funny, I'm gonna follow her, and then like, oh, I don't care about mold,
Right,
and they drop off, and that's fine too. But now they know,
Yeah.
now my purpose is accomplished. Now something.
Yeah. So tell me, what has some of the engagement looked like? Do people reach out to you and say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're talking about this," or "I've never heard of this"? How has the reaction been to your new audience?
Yeah, so a lot of both. A lot of both, actually. I'm actually really surprised at the number of people that just actually reach out to me, because I've never done that to a page. I've never reached out to a page and asked any other questions or engaged in a dialogue with anybody that I follow. But I was really, really pleasantly surprised that a lot of people are more courageous than I am,
Mhm.
and that they do it because that's where it really fills my cup. That's where my passion project really fuels me, because people it's a lot of what you just said. Either they're saying, are you serious, could this be, or a lot of times it's moms who said, I can't believe your story is just like my story. Could it be for us that it's the same, and so it's just kind of talking to them and walking through those realities, and that's where we really dig in, we really make a connection, and that's what fuels my fire. And then some people are saying, they know more than I know, they've been
Mhm.
through it and they've researched and they've got things to share, and in that respect I'm learning so much, and a lot of it came from the building side. Some people said, yeah, we went through mold and we built a house as well, and this is what worked for us and this is what doesn't, and you should check this out. And so then that takes me down another path of research.
Mhm.
So it is just it is an amazing it has been an amazing thing for me. I mean, I still have a relatively small audience compared
Mhm.
to a lot of a lot of other pages and thousands and stuff. I'm in the few hundred,
Mhm.
but those few hundred people, I mean, for the most part, I touch them all. We
Right.
talk, and I've even made some friends. We have like an ongoing text group for some of these people who have been through mold, and are also very, very research based. So it's a whole community, and it's been so fulfilling for me. It's been so
Mhm.
fulfilling for me with that, to engage on that level with
Mhm.
some people.
Yeah, and I think that's really what interested me the most in watching what was happening, this evolution. Because while the numbers may have been small, for someone who is not necessarily selling a product or a service, but really sharing information
Yeah,
and more like a public service effort, the engagement seemed really high.
yeah,
And that's when I thought, I wonder if Christina realizes that she's literally creating a whole new brand here. And it occurred to me that maybe you were or weren't,
yeah.
but you welcomed it regardless. And so I think there might be some folks who are hesitant to jump into something like this because they think they need a full out strategy, a full out team of supporters, and you don't.
Yeah.
And I think you're doing what you feel called to do, and it's work. I mean, you've built a community, which some people spend thousands of dollars and hours trying to do. You've built a community already.
Oh, that's really encouraging, because you know what, until you reached out to me, I didn't think about it. Okay. I didn't think about it like that at all. I just, I was, like you said, I just had a message to get out, and if it could touch, one or two people, and if I could help them in any way, then that's what I wanted to do.
Mhm.
But no, you're so right, because it does come to mind an engagement that I had with somebody who said, I really appreciate your transparency. I appreciate that it's not all glitz and glamour, and it's not like, look at how this is all going so perfectly, and how everything is just working out, and because it's not. I mean, that's not reality. It's
Mhm.
not, and our plan
Yeah.
has changed. So yeah, so I think maybe it could just be my propensity for oversharing in general. But then just transparency. I mean, I always just say, let it fly, whatever it is,
Yeah.
just let it fly. And that's probably something I've embraced more in my age than I did when I was younger. But it works for me. It works
Mm-hmm.
professionally, and I think it's working on this channel too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to see that it's coming through.
Mm-hmm. And you've been able to share it in other ways, right? You've been a guest on other podcasts and
Yeah.
yeah. And are there other established communities around mold that that have you've connected to, and are you having conversations about collaborations other than just sharing information back and forth?
No, I'm not having any conversations on collaborations. There's a nonprofit that I like to share a lot of their information because one of the things that you find when you're in mold and mold related groups is not everybody has the same ethics,
Ah.
and not everybody has the same goal,
Mhm.
to actually help people get through it. I mean, it is a business for a lot of people. So
Oh,
when
got
I
it.
when I find businesses or nonprofits that are, that I have vetted and that I feel are really, really, what's the word? They're doing the right thing. They're
Mhm.
really trying to help people. Then those are things that I share. I share a lot on my page about, but no, we haven't discussed collaborations. But on
Mhm.
my research, I think I know where you're going with this because I have seen that that's where you get to the next levels when you start collaborating.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that that's sometimes people don't realize that's what's next
Hmm.
because you've built a community and then someone says, "Well, what are you gonna do with that community?" And, sharing information, engaging, giving people support, just having that especially again, I keep using the term micro niche, but it's because it is so niche. Yes, there's this world of mold
Yeah,
and there may be an online community, but families that have been impacted health-wise, you can drill down to that level and
yeah,
then you've drilled down to building a home and a new environment that supports that.
yeah.
So it's you've got this opportunity for people to connect with you at different levels, and then it's like, okay, but what's next?
Right.
What's next? And
Yeah,
for some people, again, you have a corporate busy important 9 to 5 job, and you're like, okay, so how do we continue to share this message? How do we continue to help people? And I think you just sharing your story and making tools and resources available to people is really the next what's next. And one of my favorite things that you did was literally throw up books and titles, and they were thick, heavy books, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's, like, so overwhelming." You very quickly were able to synthesize what you can get out of this research, and here's why, and I think that's the beauty of what you're doing with your channels.
yeah, yeah. No, that's so encouraging to me. That's so encouraging to me that that's coming through because that's exactly what I was going for. That's exactly what I was going for. It's like, yes, it can be. There's so much information out there that sometimes you get, into the freeze mode, right? You're like,
Mhm.
there's just too much. I don't know where to start. And so, yeah, so that's exactly what I like to do is just kind of drill it down and what can you get from this? Go look at this chapter.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, well, you're doing it and you're doing it very well, and I know
thank
it's
you.
helping people. So last couple of things I wanted to ask about is how do you see your channels growing? What kind of families and or maybe even organizations do you want to bring into this space, and how do you think it can help people?
I would like to just grow. um I don't have a goal about growing. I just want to raise awareness, and I don't know what that means quantifiably for growing. I just want people to be aware, and hopefully, there's a level of awareness that people that start to follow aren't even people who have ever been impacted by mold. That would be great. that would
Mhm.
that would mean that I have reached a really wide network. um, but I think the next step is even beyond building a home. I mean, if we're not building a home, we're renting, right? So you
Mhm.
still have to know how to live in a safe environment. And I want to bring the resources that we've learned to raise our comfort level so that we're not scared anymore, because I think that was the big drive in hurrying up and trying to build a home is we wanted control over our environment. You don't have as much control when you're renting. But we've learned that there's things that you can do to make sure that you're safe before you sign a lease. There's a lot of things that you can do on your own, and doesn't involve a whole lot of special effort. So I want people to know about that, and I want people to know about the different the different organizations that I've found that are safe places for me. You know, good people who are doing the right thing, and I want them to know about those resources. So I think maybe just being a place where people can go and get trusted, vetted information. If I could get to that level, that would be great.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great level to get to, because ultimately that's you living out your mission and your purpose. And, people say everything happens for a reason, and it's true, but it's what you do with it after.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
how you move on to the next level. So I think you're doing a fantastic job. All right, Christina, how can people find you? What channels are you on, and how can people connect with you?
Yes. So I'm most active on Instagram. So it's Rebuilding Revival on Instagram. Same name on Facebook. And then we have the rebuildingrevival.com website that hopefully, as my husband edits this podcast, he will be engaged to get that live. But also you can also email me, Christina at rebuildingrevival.com. And I'm pretty responsive. So if anybody wants to get a hold of me, if anybody needs any resources or any questions, I really welcome you reaching out.
Yeah. Well, I think you're doing a fantastic job. I love that it's so mission driven. And so real quickly, how's everybody doing? You guys have gone through this. You've shared a lot of your story. How's everyone dealing with the environment, and what kind of progress have you seen?
Yeah, so we are doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. We are doing really, really well. We work with a functional medicine doctor who follows a protocol called Shoemaker, and that tracks all of your inflammatory markers. And there's certain markers that get inflamed when you're exposed to mold. And so we had very, very high markers. We're about a year and a half out now. And as we were going through the blood work, anybody whose family has been impacted by some health event, you probably know the kind of angst that you get when you start talking to a doctor, because you sit down and you're like, what am I going to hear? What am I going to learn? What's this new journey that we're going to be on? And this last time that we went through our blood work, it was like normal, 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 normal. And so there's so much, there's a significant amount that's normal. We still have a few little things that we're working on, but it's encouraging to me because I know we're in a clean environment, which is something that you have to just really keep on top of, no matter where you start. You don't know what's going on as your time in the building progresses. So it's encouraging to know that we're still in a clean environment, and it's encouraging to know that all of our hard work is paying off, and my girls are healthy. So they're very, very good.
Yes, and we celebrate that so much. All right, Christina, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for sharing your journey. I love that it's so organic, and it's doing fantastic things for other families. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Great. All right, guys, go out, connect with Christina, follow the Greenfield story. They have done a fantastic job of sharing resources, sharing information, and that's really what it's all about. It's about providing a service, whether you are selling a product or sharing your expertise, or in this case, have a passion project. It can take a life of its own and make a difference for others. So go out there and research, figure out how to do it, and make sure that your message is connecting to the people who really need it the most. All right, if you are listening on our podcast, make sure you hit subscribe. We don't want you to miss any episodes of Saturday Soundbites. If you are watching on Facebook or YouTube, drop us some comments, and Christina and I will go back and connect. With that, I'm sending you lots of positive energy and light.